Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Rabbit Hole. Please make sure that all mobile phones are set to silent. Not just on vibrate mode, but completely silent. May I remind you that filming, tweeting, texting, playing poker, chasing fruit, high-speed racing, zombie slaying, flying through the galaxy, and taking selfies during performances. These things are fabulous. Look at this in my hand. It obeys all my commands. A digital black portal to boundless lands. Hours go by. You forget night is day. Where's the threat? Communicate. Enter here, come this way. Swipe the screen and survey a world of extraordinary knowledge and play. Look at this in my hand. My domain, here it expands until it fills this darkness with Wonder.land.
Hello everyone, how are we all? Good? Good. Welcome to Vovo Presents Beyond the Rabbit Hole. Can I ask you if any of you know who I am? Oh good, a few of you. Great. I'm just kind of basing this on how weird I can be, because I'm a little bit odd. So my name is Jim Chapman. I am a YouTuber slash vlogger, hello, slash social media type guy. So I have lots of internet type things, hence why I'm here. This is going to be fun. We've got a lot to squeeze into an hour, so make yourselves comfortable and get excited. I want it to be really interactive as well, so if any of you have any questions or anything at any point, then be brave and shout them out or put your hands up, that sort of thing. Get involved, it's going to be brilliant. We're here to get a little bit closer to the cast and crew of Wonder.land, all right, which is really good. I've enjoyed it. You've all seen it, right? Yeah. Good news. OK, cool. So, thank you to Vodafone and to the National Theatre for having me and also hosting this, because I'm quite excited about it. Right, so without further ado, let me introduce you to our lovely panel here. We have playwright, the person who put this all together, the actual person who wrote it, Miss Maura Bethini, right here. Round of applause, please. We also have the National Theatre's creative director and director of Wonder.land, Mr. Rufus Norris. And of course, this guy right here, who is the frontman of Blur, as well as like loads of other cool stuff, and of course the score writer. Is that how you say it? You wrote the score for this? It's Mr. Damon Albarn. Okay, now I can't do this on my own because I have not enough knowledge, basically. So I've got a guy here. Here he is. This is James. Is it Bonus or Bonus?
Bonus.
Bonus. This is James Bonus. He is the associate director of Wonder.land, and he knows loads more than I do.
Great. So, ladies and gents, we've got. You don't need to clap me yet.
Yeah, clap him. Go on, clap him. There you go.
You could really regret that clap. All right, so we've got a combination of some of the cast here tonight who are going to perform some of the songs from the show, ably abetted by Tom on the piano, who's the music director of the piece. So he conducts all the shows in the Olivier. If you've seen it, it's hard to spot because he's hiding up in a corner with the band. But he's brilliant. So Tom's here tonight. We've got Lois, who plays Ali. We've got Abby, who's Kitty in the show. But actually, she's going to be singing Alice tonight because Carly's on a plane. We've got Golda. And we've got Hal somewhere. Where's he gone? Here. Oh, there. Oh. Hal, who you've seen, and Josh joining later. So tonight it's going to be, it should be, or feel like, a conversation between all of us and you guys in the room. Yeah, so it can be a bit rough, it'll be a bit scratchy, but it should be a lot of fun. Do join in. The first thing we're going to do is hear Lois and Golda perform That Crap for us from Act 2.
You missed a detention.
Yeah, but...
Playing on your phone in the toilets during lesson time.
Mum!
Confiscated till the end of the year.
It's completely unfair.
Alice. What can I say? I'm worried. I'm worried about you.
I know, but it's my spell check. I was in the loos revising. And I didn't hear the bell go, which I think is unsurprising.
Just tell me the truth.
All right, I'm being bullied. These girls are out for my blood.
What girls?
They're teasing me about my dad. They drag him through the mud. See, you don't even care. Ever since you broke us up, all you care about is Charlie.
If there are bullies on your case, then I'm so glad I know. Because together we can make them stop. You needn't suffer so. But I broke us up. You say I care for Charlie more. That's rubbish. Why don't we go and see your head teacher?
No way! That's crap!
Ali.
Now let's talk about what's really going on. You're roused with Dad cause you're in the wrong. You've been blaming him for everything. You're totally uncaring.
Don't push me.
You never listen to me, Mum. I think that fact is glaring.
Ali.
You think you know it all, but you're full of crap.
I know what this reaction is. It's all about that thing.
What thing?
That horrid little mobile.
No.
Has truly sucked you in.
It's called a smartphone, actually.
You're addicted to it, Ali.
No, I'm not.
You're dependent like a user.
Mum, that's really damaging.
That gadget to you, Ali, is like tequila to a boozer.
That's crap. It's crap. It's crap. You're talking crap right to my face.
Before another day goes by, here's what we're going to do. Except for homework, games and the internet are banned for you.
No way!
They're banned from this room, they're banned from this flat, they're banned from your life, they're banned. That is that.
That's crap!
Yeah, so great if you come and sit.
Q&A time, people. Have a seat, make yourselves
Come in a bit,
comfy.
yeah, if you want.
Okay, I'm going to start with Moira. I'm going to pick on you first. Can you tell us something about the characters and how you created them, and are they based on any of your own personal experiences?
Well, yeah, I mean, it depends. Yeah, I mean, yes, of course. I think all characters come out of you. And you think at the end of the day you create someone like Miss Manxam and you think, oh my God, that's me.
I love her.
But then Ali's me as well. I was once a teenager who didn't like herself very much. And Ali's mum is me, because I'm now a mum of teenage kids. I also think I'm half crazy, so the Mad Hatter is... And in this way of writing, you draw on your own self as a writer, but then what you end up with is something very, very, very far away from you, which all the characters also are. You know, of course, none of them are me, but they all come, you know, I suppose that's the nature of creating character.
Was it a challenge for you to write a play based on something that doesn't come from your own generation? Because I remember when I was at school, dial-up was around, you know, so it took ages to get on the internet. You got that noise, and you could never get on the internet. It must be tough writing things about Wi-Fi and like speedy internet and like people getting really sucked in.
Yeah.
We had CFAX.
Yes, I know. I was going to say we
If you miss the wrong, if you miss the
go
wrong
right
page,
through again.
you'd have to wait.
Yeah.
That's right.
Another week before it came back.
Yeah, you used to have to remember people's phone numbers.
Yeah,
because
Christ.
you know it was.
Phone number.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean.
In fact, to be honest with you, we predate.
We predate.
CFAX by a long.
We
by
predate
a
the
decade,
internet.
maybe.
We just about got Thomas Edison and kind of telephone. You know. So yes, we are absolutely not the generation who are internet savvy in the way that everyone under 30 is. But we all have teenage kids. We all have children who are absolutely in the middle of that relationship. You know, that whole argument with Ali and her mum. I have that argument with my kids.
Probably easy for you to write that bit, I imagine.
You know, we all do, and so many people have come up to me and gone, "Oh, that's just what that's me and my mum," or "I am that mum," or, you know. So although it is not our generation, we're sort of in the middle of it too, and also I think it's not just young people who live their lives online now. It is everybody. It is all of us. I think this big gap is maybe not quite as big as we think.
Yeah, I think, well, even the Mad Hatter, he's kind of, you know...
Exactly. Two of the adult characters in the play kind of mess up big time online. The Mad Hatter and Miss Manson.
I think it's too much too soon. I think because we've been brought up into it. I think if you just kind of go, wow, I'm like... I mean, you know, I'm quite old now and I've found the internet. Great, spending my money on it.
Yeah.
Terrifying. Rufus, what was the biggest... what was it like working with the creative team, and what was the biggest surprise during like the process?
The biggest surprise, it was hard work. I mean, all these big shows like this are hard work. It was great working with this team. They're a fantastic bunch, and we've known each other since 1990 something, which predate the internet. Though this is the first time that we work properly together, and Damon and I, this is our third or fourth project. So we've been. We've gone over a few hurdles before, and that always helps because James and I likewise. So there's a lot of history between me and various members of the cast as well. So you kind of you very quickly develop a common language. I'm just trying to think about what the biggest surprise was. I don't know. It's funny. I bumped into one particularly hard day. I bumped into somebody in the toilet when I was hiding.
Right. And, I mean, that's a story in itself, isn't it?
And he's a lighting designer called Rick Fisher, and he's lit millions of shows, including Billy Elliot and various others. And I think I was washing my face and just sort of wishing that it was bedtime in the middle of one difficult day. And he just came up to me and he just looked at me and he said, "Musicals aren't written, they're rewritten." In other words, you just have to keep going and going and going and going. And I think that's been, you sort of know that. You know that before you go into it, but so that wasn't a big surprise. It was just every day going. Yeah. I thought this was brilliant yesterday, and today, do you know what? Yeah.
That's how it's been as well. We have constantly rewritten right the way through the rehearsal process, the music and the lyrics and everything.
I mean, it's something you just carry on and on.
Yeah.
Doing really. I mean, you have to stop at a point, just because no one can take in any more information.
Sure.
But as soon as you've stopped, it's obvious there's more stuff that you need to do.
We've still got a wish list of things to do.
I'm going to plough through these questions, by the way. If you've got any, just put your hand up and I will spot you and we can kind of ask your ones. It might be better than mine. This one goes to everyone, so people at the back as well. What's your favourite special effect in the show? Because it is. I mean, I remember seeing it. I've seen quite a few plays, but this one to me was, the background is kind of as important. That this kind of display is as important, I think, as the rest of it. So what for you is your favourite special effect? Any of you?
I like the opening of Act 2 with the computer game, but with the sort of vaudevillian music. I like that combination. That seems quite a sort of fresh thing.
Cool.
For me, it's the amazing Cheshire Cat. It's every time I see that it's the song "Fabulous."
Yes.
Where this amazing Cheshire Cat appears, and I gasp every time I see it.
Yeah.
And the other one, very simply, very old-fashioned theatrical. It's the puking baby.
Yes. Yeah, the puking baby. Come on. Every time, yeah.
I also like all the little light bulbs.
Yeah.
Along the edge?
Yeah, because they sort of...
I was really paranoid that one of you was going to stand on them, because you get quite close. And I was like, someone's going to crunch one, then the whole place is going to go up or something.
Can you imagine what an old music...
I was going to say vaudeville.
Musical. Yeah. And at one point they were all... Well, they were gas to start off with. Before that, they were candles.
Right.
Imagine
Yeah.
what could happen on a rowdy Friday night at a musical with candles.
The guy who's driving the bus Oh yeah, there he is. Yeah. In Manchester, we had one show where, you know, there's a point where the bus is coming around. It's got the 3 carriages on the back of it. The first time you see it,
I was really excited. Okay, that's
and he put his foot down a bit too much, and as he went around the corner, the weight of all the people in it span it round, and they took out about 15 of those bulbs.
Wow. I mean, all the driving is like, I think it's a skill, because I can't barely talk and drive, but singing and driving. Yeah, that's
Yeah, the desk is the hard one, though.
So
That's
now it's doing stuff
Yeah.
about me and doing anything.
Never done that.
Yeah.
Look, no hands. A bit like a DJ.
Okay, I've got another question for you. This one, again, is to everyone. And it might be quite tough to answer, but if you could add a scene, what would it be? Very tough to answer.
Well, like, there were a load of scenes that we've cut, but
What was your favourite scene that you cut then?
there's an absolutely beautiful song called In Clover, which the dad sings on the way to the cafe. But by that time, you're an hour into the first half, and it just felt like we needed to move it on. But it's really, really gorgeous song.
Mm-hmm. Sorry to see it go.
Yeah, really sorry.
Okay, next question is to the actors, actually. How do you build your character? And what is the most... on from the question, which maybe doesn't quite relate, but I guess we'll make it go. What's the most defining / memorable moment for you at school?
So how do you build your character?
How do you build your character, and kind of, I guess, how is it related to your most defining moment at school?
Well, I usually play a bully in it. 3 of those bully girls. I have the short pink hair in it. And it was really interesting because I was never like that at school. I'd hate to think that I was. But I've got a 14-year-old niece, and she influences me a lot, and she talks to me about lots of stuff, and she talks to me about school and stuff. And I get her to read some scripts with me sometimes, just for fun, and she said, and some of the things we were saying, she was going, yeah, people, like, I've seen that said online, and stuff like that. I'm like, really? And then we were in the room, and do you remember when we were coming up with words like YOLO and brothel and things like that? And I was asking her, and I was saying, oh, what do you say, and what's going on? And so she really helped me. And sometimes I think going from someone else and their actual experience is invaluable to create a real, truthful character. Yeah, that's me.
For me, I had the advantage of being part of the workshops that we did right from the beginning of the
Notice she's not
process.
actually from
Yeah,
London.
I was really, I haven't heard you talk about in character. I was like, yeah.
So it meant that, well, first and foremost, Ali sounds really different from me. And as much as me and Damon tried to convince everyone to
It was
keep her
just an amazing
Scottish.
thing
that was one of the hardest parts for me. So, and it was from
Really
that
hard.
first workshop we started trying to, I guess, find the world that Ali's in. And it was a massive advantage for me that we had a workshop so early on in the process, and then a few more before doing Manchester. And then again, it felt that Ali grew up with me as I had grown up from Manchester to London. And I think probably Ali was quite influenced in that first workshop by how nervous and shy I felt as an adult being there and starting this project. And then as I got more confident through Manchester, that sort of influenced who Ali became for me in London. Yeah, I think that's about
I guess it's kind of a similar story for me, and I'm not an actor, but like my job is to be online. When I first started, I was really like cripplingly shy, and actually having the experience of being put in this situation where you have to just kind of pull out of the bag or just go home, I think it really does define you. I think it kind of changes you as a person, and since doing it, I've been doing this about 5 years now, and I have millions of people who watch, and suddenly you kind of have to be a decent human being and have to function. So yeah, I think it certainly are defining moments that can actually carry through and influence you as a character, but also as a human being as well, I think.
I think we're going to move on to another song. So the next song we're going to hear is Secrets. So Abby's going to sing the part of Alice, and Lois will sing Ali. No, you're right, stay there. You're right, Jim.
things that are secret, things that I don't want to say.
Is it someone I love, or someone I hate, or a trust that I cannot betray?
I've got secrets that loom in my head when I sleep, and secrets I'm burning to say and not keep.
But once the mouth opens, the words start to come in a great rush of freedom. The river will run. I'll loyally keep all our secrets. You can tell me without any shame.
It was my fault, you know, that my dad had to go, our family broke, and I am to blame. One night after midnight I crept down the stairs. There on the sofa lay Dad in despair. I found out that he had a secret. Each night he was gambling away. His game was roulette and he'd fallen in debt, but he was desperately trying to pay. At first he'd been lucky, but then how he lost, not just a game, 'cause it came at a real cost.
And now the mouth opens, the words start to come in a great rush of freedom. The river will run.
Dad begged me to keep it a secret. I promised I wouldn't tell Mum, but the money ran dry, and when Mum wondered why, I revealed to her all that he'd done. I broke up their marriage, broke my dad's heart. It's my fault it all fell apart. It's not my only secret, and it's not even my worst.
Say it, Alice. 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 And when the mouth opens, the words start to come in a great rush of freedom.
I hate being me. I hate it. I totally, utterly hate being me.
Is that my secret? Really?
I wish I was you.
You are me.
No, I'm not. You're not afraid of anything. And everyone likes you, and you're beautiful.
But I hate it.
What?
Being me. And now the mouth opens, the words start to come in a great rush of freedom. The river will run. The river will run.
So the reason we included that song in the programme tonight is I think that and a song you're going to hear in a bit, it's fair to say, are the sort of emotional core of the whole piece. And when you watch it, it's really clear that that's establishment of a really strong relationship, isn't it, with Ali and Alice? And yet I don't even really know this story, so you guys can clear it up. Apparently, Secrets was written for a lizard.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell us. I didn't even know. Like, it wasn't actually written for Ali, it was written for a lizard.
In the very first draft, remember, it was the frog footman and the fish footman.
Yeah, so,
With his neoprene boots.
Yeah, I mean, I was... Yeah.
But the adaptation was much more based on Lewis Carroll at the beginning, and Lewis Carroll doesn't give you any narrative. So as we went through it, what happened is that they...
obsessed with Route 1 narrative, aren't you?
Yeah, well, we've got to tell a story.
That is, you know, we've got to tell a story. I know, it's true though, isn't it? It's, and also, to make it... you know, we wanted it to not be about the frog footman and the fish footman. It had to be about Ali at the end of the day.
So I suppose the reason I asked the question, or we're looking at it, is for you guys to see just how much a show like this doesn't land as a product at some point.
Not at all.
Just I mean, like Maura, we'd be in the room, Maura would be writing some lyrics, we'd email them over to you, you'd hear the lyrics, make a tune in response to them, often really quick, and come back with something, and then that actually might shift entirely to a different person singing it. The lyrics might change again. You might rework the tunes so that it's not like you arrive with a book on the desk and a set of songs.
There's a song in the show that appears twice called Me. Do you remember Me? Which is when Miss Manson falls in love with Alice. Go on then.
It goes like this. So I've got to use this, haven't?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You're gonna.
Oh, it's just. Now, what's it go? Something like that.
The point is that was written originally. Do we want him to sing it? Yeah, go on then. Do you want someone to sing it?
It was
with you?
originally called You.
It was called You, and it was a love song between two characters, one of whom doesn't exist anymore.
It's you. It's you. Like that, it was like that. But
That's your glitter button, Damon.
Hey?
I'm all tearful now. Nobody's ever sang something like that. But it was written
But
for a
more I
completely
wanted to
different
change
character.
because you felt that was more sort of.
yeah,
It's the thing. Everything starts one way, and then it's a kind of battle between narrative and sort of how when you write songs. When you're not coming from a songwriting tradition, you sort of write how you feel on that day. You don't necessarily question how you feel.
But
you
a
just
song
follow
in a
that
musical
impulse through.
is a character-driven, narrative-driven
very different thing,
It's
and
a
it's-
really different thing, isn't
It's
it?
really difficult, but it's so much fun.
Yeah, I know. So we did have a big discussion when in the writing of Me, that because the first draft it was you, and we thought, well, actually, when you create an avatar, your avatar isn't you, your avatar is me, Plus, the ego of Miss Manxam was just so enormous that it seemed much funnier for her to be singing this love song to herself. So we changed it to Me. Even though you're quite right that you musically sounds, it's a more satisfying vowel, the oo than the e, isn't it?
E sort of sounds like you need to scratch or something. Sounds like a kiss, doesn't it?
I know. There you go. But this
you don't go to a kiss like that, do you?
But anyway, this is kind of how it went.
I think it's good. I just want to know. I thought for you guys, it's interesting to see just actually how much they work together. you see me to produce something.
How much we argued.
Yeah, didn't that much arguing. I thought it was very,
No, I
very,
mean, it was very good-natured, and we never fell out, though.
Very good news.
very good-natured, Damon. But the other story you told me that I was interested in, because in a minute I'm going to get you and Golda to sing Broken Glass, is also about where you are when you write things. Like I said, do you remember, it was in a rehearsal and they were singing on stage, they were doing Broken Glass. I said, no, damn, that song's beautiful.
You want to know when I wrote this? So I was staring out of a, nothing really flash of I was staring out of a motel window in South Carolina at an empty car park with a tree and a Trans Am parked underneath it.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Yeah, so he sat there in South Carolina.
On a really hot afternoon.
On a hot afternoon and wrote this song. So sometimes, sometimes you'll go home and it'll be in the studio and it's like within the process of the rehearsal, it's already focused. And then other times, that you'll get a moment of response to the lyrics or a thing which can be like that sitting in a car park. I really liked it. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. I was going to ask, where do you get your inspiration from?
Well, exactly.
How is it triggered? Can it be
literally anything.
My initial inspiration for writing the lyrics of this song was Damon sending me an email really early on going, where are my lyrics? So I wrote the lyrics. Yeah, he can't write the music until I've written the lyrics. So you were itching to write.
Yeah, I mean, that's been...
So I did, and the song, it was triggered by an old poem that I wrote maybe 20 years ago.
Right.
And I found this old poem, and it just triggered something that became this. And it was the line, broken glass, we're made of broken glass.
Great.
Well,
it'd be brilliant if we can...
Quick question.
Yeah, go on.
Forgive me, it sounds like the process sounds fascinating, but also quite fragmented. I guess writing a song, or as part of an album, you've kind of probably got a theme or a vision in mind with regards to what...
Well, yeah, with an album, you don't present it till you've kind of sort of got everything... Yeah, whereas with this process, at any point, you sort of... It could come, it appears, And I suppose to make something a perfect musical, it's just about endless trial and error, and in a way the ones that get the most time for trial and error are the ones that sort of end up being the most effective. But I think with this one we've sort of done something that's sort of, it's quite different and it is a bit fragmented, but that's kind of the nature of the modern world. It's not a cohesive kind of thing. It's influences come from everywhere, and they change.
Also, there's something actually
people lose their attention. It's just a different way of writing a musical to more traditional way of writing a musical.
Also, to some extent, I think without
that doesn't mean it works.
Is it actually? But actually, the Lewis Carroll's fragmented.
Yes,
there's something fragmented about the whole thing.
Material
actually, it's fragmented too.
Doesn't offer.
Yeah, so I think that
any of the normal. Most musicals have. You said. This hasn't got... No one falls in love and no one dies in Alice in Wonderland, and that is the subject matter of most musicals.
Yeah, it's interesting that.
But they go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, so they kind of go down the rabbit hole into this bonkers world.
Yeah.
And what we tried to keep with this was the spirit of Lewis Carroll. We went very, very far from the source material, but we really, really tried to keep the spirit of it. And I think what we have done reflects the spirit of the source material, which is kind of bonkers and fragmented.
Yeah, that's good. All right, brilliant. I think we'd love to hear Broken Glass. Okay. Give it a go.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I was just singing. These aren't words about staring at a Trans Am in South Carolina, strictly, but they kind of got the. They have this. They somehow are from the same sort of sense of something.
Beautiful melancholy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's have a go. So do you want to be... Where do you want to be, James?
I don't know, I'm not going to be acting.
No, you don't have to be acting. It's about you're playing, man, isn't it? Do you want to sit there and play? Do you want to
No, well...
You be wherever you want.
That
Tom
means
can play.
Yeah, okay. Right.
Yeah.
Come on then, I'll try it. It's in a different key to the way when I wrote it in, though, isn't it, Tom?
It is, yeah. Do you want to
and you're not. And you're going to be unforgiving. You're just going to go. You're not going to have pauses when I decide there's a pause, are you? You're just going to go, and I'm going to look. I'm I'm going to end up getting lost.
I love him. I love him.
Oh, that's enough of it anyway. But I don't want to. I've got to get the words right. Haven't I? Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Wait, in your key, so it's hardly odds. Sometimes I'm found singing like the wolves, alone pretending I am with someone. Da-da-da-da-dee. All right. Yeah, hang on. Does it go to sooner or later? This is called not preparing. Which is great. I love not preparing. You've got yours in a nice book, which you can but that are well thumbed.
Yeah, the book. I mean, yeah, I suppose I'm at an advantage because obviously I wrote it. Oh no, hang on, you did.
Yeah, but the way no, Tom. The way I do stuff is I'll know exactly what's going on here until I'm no longer working on it, and then I go and fill my brain with something else. I can't remember that and that and that and that and that and that all at the same time. I'm not as clever as you.
Yeah, but you're so much more beautiful than that.
Yeah, well.
You're right, Golda.
Yes, I'm wonderful.
I just wanted to put a little bit of something else on it. It's hardly odd, but sometimes I am found talking to the walls, alone, pretending I am with someone. Closed in a room, in these locks and chains, hoping joy is born of love. Not money and not wine, and that Eden's waiting somewhere in its beautiful design. Oh, soon or later you begin to see that I'm only holding onto shreds of a family. I'm a cluster of mere fragments made of broken glass.
It's hardly odd that sometimes I am found wishing all alone that my arms were strong enough to keep at bay all the forces of chaos that come our way, hoping joy is born of love. Through fragility we shine, and Eden's waiting somewhere in its beautiful design.
You begin to see that I'm only holding torn to shreds of a family. Where clusters of mere fragments were made of broken glass.
Section, we're going to talk about the integral role technology plays in the play and also the internet. I guess I can start because this is kind of my job.
Yeah, it's his job, isn't it? When I learnt about you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, or living life online. What it's like. Do you mean how many of you are on Facebook? How many of you are on Twitter? Oh yeah, less than you'd think.
So essentially, my job is to film everything I
That's
do.
less than I thought.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah, that's just
Twitter's an old. My kids say that Twitter says it's an old person's thing. That's what my kids say.
No, but there's other stuff. Right, come on,
Yeah, so right,
what
things
other
are up.
ones? Come on, don't.
There are Twitter, Instagram, Facebook,
Right,
Snapchat,
yeah, right.
YouTube.
I'm on Snapchat.
Are you?
Yeah.
Good. Snapchat's really good.
Yeah.
Are you?
What do your snaps consist of?
What?
What do you snap? What do you take pictures of? And
Well, I take pictures and then I draw on top of them.
Yeah, that's
and
what
what
I
I
do.
like the most is spinning round and round, and then drawing over the spinning round and round
Yeah.
thing. Because at certain points in it, the pictures work with where you are in the frame.
did you know you can speed it up and slow it down and stuff?
I don't know that
Yeah,
one
slide
yet.
across.
And I know you can make the eyes go
Yeah.
like that. But
Yeah.
I haven't worked that one out yet.
So, for those of you who don't know me and what I do, my job essentially, I have a YouTube
I do that
channel.
naturally.
Yeah, essentially I film my life, things I do.
Internet, I can do that anyway.
And my life is pretty much online. So this is actually, I really enjoyed it. It was kind of really poignant, I think, because watching it happen and seeing Ali kind of fall into the rabbit hole is essentially my entire existence. And weirdly, I've built my career on it. I do things like this now, but essentially it all kind of comes back to my YouTube channel, which, by the way, youtube.com/Jim Chapman, if you want to check it out. Thanks very much. And I just kind of film and talk about things, and it's really, I think, a sign of the times that actually now people can sort of become successful of their own accord, without having to rely on all of the old school sort of ways of getting into it. But also, it's just a way to express yourself. I would have been doing this regardless of where it's taken me, because I just really, really enjoy it. And I think that's kind of what this is about and what the internet in general can be about. I mean, there are obviously pitfalls and things to watch out for.
When did you start YouTubing? How old were you?
I've been doing it for about 5 years. So I'm 28. I would have been about 22, 23 when I first started. And it all started for me when my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, she was doing videos and she was doing makeup tutorials, so teaching you how to look like Angelina Jolie or whatever.
What's that called when you do a makeup thing to look like a character?
She calls it makeup tutorials.
No, but it's got a name, isn't it?
Probably.
It's called a name. It's a thing people do. They
Ask the internet.
No, they dress up as kind of cartoon characters.
Oh, cosplay. Yeah, it's not quite the same. She doesn't do the whole outfit. She just has kind of a face.
Right,
so she'll
not
recreate
full
a look.
cosplay, but is it cosplay?
My daughter knows all about her.
Yes, so it's just kind of like looks she'll do. So she one time wanted to make me into Edward Cullen. It was when Twilight was really big, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not talking. Like, I'll be on your video, but I'm not doing anything. So I just stayed silent and had a cheeky little grin the whole time. And then I was addicted to reading the comments, finding out what people were saying about me.
Shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I know. I've learned now. I don't do it anymore.
Really mustn't do.
Horrible.
That's a really bad habit.
Yeah, I've stopped.
Good.
Trust me. And then, I started to really enjoy it. Now, at the time, this is back 4 or 5 years ago, we had no idea any of this was possible and any of this would happen. But it was a really fun, creative way for me to do something. I'd graduated with a degree in psychology and then was like, right, now what? I'm from Norwich, which is quite a small city, and there's no jobs really in psychology. Plus, I realised that after 3 years I hated it. So I was like, right, cool, what do I do with my life? So I started making videos just when I got home from the job I was working. My job, incidentally, I was the guy who would send bailiffs after you if you didn't pay your bills. So it was a real low point. And I was just making videos because they were really fun, and it was something creative for me to do, and I enjoyed it. And then one day, I had enough money to pay my mum's rent. It was about 200 quid, it wasn't much. But I was like, Mum, get used to me, because I'm sticking around. So I handed my notice in that day. And, if I hadn't taken off, I'd still be living with her. But actually, as it happens, it's kind of grown and grown and grown. And here I am. Is this a question or a stretch? Go.
I guess I was interested in the kind of family show aspect that you mentioned.
because I'm really fascinated by the show that you sort of would have made, by the way. But I don't know, what point did you decide to make it a show? And I think this is important because of the nature of like the topic for like that young kids can come to, and how did that affect what you made? Because I guess for me, I think the advice someone once gave me was like, don't like just make it as if you'd make it for someone else, like anyone. Do you know what I mean? Because then it was still like you shouldn't change it too much. But obviously there were some changes that you had to make.
Well, because it's not. It's like change. It's just a process that you go through, and you make one decision, and then that informs every other decision that follows. You know, and it's not even like a sort of it's not like a conscious we're really taking that away. I mean.
Yeah, it was that it took us to a dead end. Right. Actually, it took us to a dead end at the end of the day, because when you apply narrative, you see a character like the Duchess is sort of, you know, she's a horrible.
I miss her because that was the first one I wrote something for, because when I was a kid,
yeah, I know you were terrified of her.
The Duchess was the one that I really remember.
And she is a monster. And of course, in my mind, I wrote this great song where she was this horrible kind of luring young people into the internet. And I thought, where's this going? It's just horrible. And it led nowhere. It just led to this horrible dead end and I just thought, actually, no. Yeah. You know, it was a dead end. And we had several of those. There were several dead ends with this. You go down one rabbit hole and you kind of run back out again and try another with this show, because what you're doing is trying to find a working narrative that just means something to you know. And what we've done now, I think it's not that we sold out by doing this, by making a show for younger people. It's we just discovered that that's really what we wanted to do. That there was something about this that tapped into our inner teenagers that you know that was. And the, you know, like concentrating on the positive and not the negative.
Yeah, I think it's really important. You didn't just villainise like the internet.
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
It's not just about.
And I think there's enough fear out there about what's on the internet, and we're all afraid about what's on the internet, and especially young people and what's on the internet. But it was also just trying to tell a positive story, because there are those as well, and they're not being told as much.
I think that's something I really appreciated. I think because, again, my job reaches loads of people, and it is just about being positive and being
yours
friendly.
is a positive internet
but there is obviously some negative things out there too, but I think overall the positive well outweighs the negative. I just think it's people of a certain generation are just scared that their kids are now going out into the world and could be talking to anyone. And I actually I think it's actually really testament to the people who watch certain things on the internet that actually they pick good people. Because without people who watching me, I wouldn't be here.
It's true. It's true. I think we underestimate the good taste of our children sometimes.
Precisely. And there are obviously things to be aware of, but overall I think it's a really positive place. Anyway, we do need to move on.
To press on. I'm the time police.
What we need to do. This is really good.
But this is interesting because my daughter said no, it's not like that. But there was like an advert over Christmas for this site where you decided you wanted to sell something, right, and then you could go and meet someone somewhere and
that is a bit weird.
Hand it over to them, and that was on like normal TV. This was being advertised. It's sort of, hey, I've got a table to sell. I'm going to go meet someone on Clapham Common and give them this table. It's like, you know. And I said to her, isn't that a bit dodgy? And she just rolled her eyes and went, no, of course people aren't going to go and do that. You know, they know what they're doing anyway. But it just seemed to me that this is exactly where this sort of fear as a parent comes from. It's something, if you take it on face value, it looks like a really dodgy thing, but it doesn't account for all the sorts of the savviness of the people who are actually going to participate in it. And obviously they wouldn't ever dream of thinking of it in those terms because they're not stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just it's me who's stupid.
So, no, that far.
No, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course.
I was just sort of I
Would
don't
you
know,
go
honestly.
to Clapham Common?
With a table.
I've been to Clapham Common many times before.
With a table.
With your table?
I spent a lot of the late 80s on Clapham Common.
Okay, we do need to move on. We have another song now, which is called Fabulous. And do you know what? I'm just going to let you play it. So, Fabulous.
Press OK. Fabulous.
Six.
You can be fabulous. Have the whole world at your feet. Eat me. Discover who you really are. Eat me.
Why are you saying eat me? That's creepy. Is this a creepy site?
That's right. Come closer. Oh, live in a world like this. It's fabulous.
Alice, walk.
Come find your way. It's fabulous.
Hey, cat, can I really do what I like?
You can be anyone you want. Be free.
Okay, dance, Alice. I never dance.
A world of wonder and liberty.
Dance better. Faster, come on.
Eat me.
Sing. Pussycat, pussycat, pussycat. Oh my God. Pussycat, pussycat, pussycat. This is so weird. Pussycat, 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 pussycat.
Have the whole world at your feet. Eat me.
Discover who you really are. Be free. Punch. Yes, fight.
There you go.
So, can I ask you to hop off? So, we were talking earlier about the writing of it and also
He's from Norwich as well.
Are you?
Can I tell?
Norwich boy.
I'm from Norwich.
No way,
We should
mate.
catch up. Whereabouts?
Well, I'm actually Yarmouth, mate. I'm
Oh,
from
Yarmouth. No.
Yeah.
Done.
Oh, they are then. We're going to have a chat about that then.
Yeah, should.
Yeah.
All right, so the thing is with the Norwich White Rabbit is you don't know how they move. I think we were talking earlier about the way that these things evolve in terms of starting with the script coming from the original book in some form and working through and Damon responding to that. But of course there's a whole other process which happens when you get in the rehearsal room and you start hearing it. It's particularly open when you've got a character that doesn't speak. So you might have a stage direction which says Alice follows the White Rabbit or Ali follows the White Rabbit or the White Rabbit enters. But that doesn't really tell you anything about his character. And in that case, it's a fairly pure example of when you're really reliant on the actors that you're working with. Unfortunately, because we only hire people from Norwich, we've managed to find some good ones. So then the process, the rehearsal process, becomes about a certain amount of improvising, and out of that emerges the beginnings of what you end up seeing on stage. So you have to be quite robust with that and be up for it. So with something like the White Rabbit, you just start by going, okay, well let's just play around, let's just improvise. And Josh, nice of you to come already dressed up. And all we're going to do is say that Tom is going to follow you in this instance, and let's let's start with, you just come down here. And what happens immediately is that Josh and the music start to get into a little bit of a dialogue. Okay, let's just take that a step further. Can I ask Lois, can you just get up and just imagine this is the first time that you're meeting the White Rabbit, and Josh, you want her to follow you, and she doesn't know that, so you've got to get her to follow you. Okay, so even a little moment like that, you start getting the idea, oh, maybe, even though this doesn't have a love affair in it, maybe there's something that we can build on here that's going... Now, this happened between Manchester and London, actually, which is when Josh joined us. So, funnily enough, have you two been... So now let's bring Alice into the picture. And now we'll just take... So, Lois, if you step out of it, having given us a bit of a lesson in, OK, now we're going to follow the White Rabbit, we're just going to jump forward. And now we want to find out... now we're going to make Alice a bit keen. So Alice wants to follow the White Rabbit too much. So now, Josh, let's just see what happens if you've got an Alice that's particularly...
Bunny buller.
Yeah. Yeah.
Happens all the time, mate. It
does.
Let's just put into that you can't be touched, Josh, whatever happens, and Alice, you really want to touch him.
We need two instruments then, really, don't we?
Yeah, join in,
We need two instruments. So I'm you.
The secret of improvising and setting up any improvisation is to make sure that the two people who are improvising have got conflicting needs or conflicting wants. One of them wants to touch
What was the point in that?
Oh.
You sold that to me as
I
being
did
slightly,
didn't see you do it.
slightly more impressive than that.
I thought you could have an impressive
comparative to the size of the
yeah, do the
box
do it
and
again.
the button.
Hit it again, Damon.
This doesn't really do it. Someone was weren't on the ball who was ever supposed to. All right, okay.
This is amazing to see. Don't get this in rehearsals.
Okay, now Josh, let's say you want to touch him, you really want to touch him, but no, tell you what, you want to smell him. And, but you don't want him to know that that's what you're trying to do. Yeah? And you're just trying to get her to follow you.
Okay, still.
Yeah. So take on a little journey, but when she gets a bit weird, you can get a bit freaked out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Can I have a can I volunteer? Yeah, come on then. Hey, well done. Have you got the red envelope? I was going to say we swap. Okay, you really don't like rabbits, okay? Yeah. But you've got to get him to follow you. Yeah, and you're just not going to do it. If he comes too close, then see him off. And but just put some pressure on. You've really got to get this guy to follow you, whatever happens. And just remember, folks, that Josh's got a very, very expressive face. But in the show, we know he's going to be completely covered up because the costume design happened months ago. So he's got to start taking all of the elements of his personality, particularly into that head movement. So watch for how that's going into his head. He's already working out how that's going to be expressed when we can't see his face. So should we James, should we just jump now to just fast forward now a few weeks to, now we'll just replay a little scene within the show where they have a little interchange with the White Rabbit. Yep.
Hi, Big Ears. How am I supposed to follow you again? Wait. Supposing I don't want to. Supposing I just want to stay here. Would you stay with me? You could tame him, Alice. I could tame you. Are you wild? Don't ask him that. Why not? It's embarrassing. Why? Because I know he's just a computer graphic and everything, but You're cute. Alice, shut up! He doesn't mind. God, follow him.
So for this final section, oh hello, excuse me. For this final section, we want to get you guys involved again. So keep texting, question first, then 62277, and then your question. Whilst you're doing that, we're going to be doing more questions via these cards here, all about kind of how you guys got into the industry, and I guess how you're finding it now you're in the industry. Moira's first again. Sorry. Where do you seek inspiration when you're building a play or characters?
It's that, do you know that I get asked that such a lot, and it's actually the question that has no answer. I really don't know.
It just comes to you one day.
It just does. It just does, and it can be anything. I mean, there was a whole play once came out of an image I had of two people laughing.
Wow.
Or it's a piece of history, or it's, I mean, a dream. I mean, anything can trigger you.
I heard that, I don't know how true this is, so I might be wrong, but I heard that J.K. Rowling just had the story of Harry Potter, all 7 books, in her head one day.
Yeah,
Well,
I can.
blimey, I wish
yeah.
that had happened to
Yeah,
me.
can you imagine? Yeah, just all of them.
You know.
That's a complex book. You know, you go back and there's things from, like, the first one that kind of go right through. It's clever. I mean, I doubt she wrote them all in a day. I mean,
Yeah, but I get that. I hear it was a train journey. But the whole thing of it, you know, I can sort of imagine that. But no, it's the unanswerable question actually that it just comes from you.
Okay.
You know, I'm sorry that's such a rubbish answer.
Oh, it's a great answer. There are no wrong answers here. Don't panic. Apart from that one, which was incorrect. Okay, this one is for everyone. What did you want to be when you grew up? Did you always know this is what you were going to do?
I wanted to be a paramedic first when I was in primary school because I liked the outfit. And then I decided I wanted to be a butcher because I like meat.
Okay.
And then by around about 9, 10, it was pop star.
Right.
So I started a stage school and realised I actually preferred the acting. And since then, I still like it.
Right. Well, that's good. Good you're doing it. I wanted to be an architect, actually. Thank you. And then a psychologist. And then I ended up doing this, which is, you know, completely kind of off there. Okay, so this one's probably quite a good question for the people in the audience. Do you have any tips for people who really want to get into theatre?
Do it.
Do it. There's no the only real virtue is stamina. I think just do it and
Keep doing it even when everyone tells you you're crap.
Yeah.
And then if you decide that actually they're right and you really should be doing something else, you took the brave choice and you did it, and you should always be proud of yourself.
The nice thing about theatre is there's so many different things you can do and still remain in theatre. I mean, when I was at school, I was in musicals. I loved being. It was like the best thing. And I went to not a great comprehensive school in Essex, and the best thing about my school was the music department and the musicals we did. And as a result of that, I kind of sort of thought, because I'd gone down well in Stanway Comprehensive's production of Guys and Dolls, that I was probably eligible to be a great stage actor. So I managed to find not a great drama school that would accept me, and I went to drama school for a year, but I realised through doing that although I did like theatre, I didn't really want to be an actor or anything like that. And years later, I sort of found a way back into theatre through doing music, and then, you know, obviously.
Yeah, theatre can lead you many strange places.
Exactly. I think it's just that.
Yeah.
That sense of community and
yeah, there's a great community and creative self-expression. It's just a very, very
that's
positive
what's so lovely
thing
about it.
Cool. I see you put your hand up.
Yes, thank you. What's something that you wish you got to do more of in each of your jobs, and something that you wish you didn't have to do?
Editing for me. I hate my own face and my own voice with a passion now, because I have constantly to look at myself.
Come on.
Well, I mean, the novelty wears off. Trust me. You guys?
Learning lines is annoying. I wish you could just sort of click your fingers and it be there and you can just do it. I hate the point where you have to be bothered about the lines. It's really frustrating.
Well, it's nice you've got some.
I take it back. I take it back.
I think Boxing Day matinee is the hardest thing about it all. And normally, I don't know what it is, but I always have the problem whenever we have wardrobe fittings. They seem to be during a time of the year when I'm at my fittest and healthiest, and in the summer. And suddenly, you get to Christmas time, and all the chocolates are there every time you pass and walk onto the stage, and there's people bringing in cakes, and it's fabulous. And then you have the 48 hours where you go absolutely crazy, don't you? And you come back into your dressing room, and there's your costume, and you sit there, and you literally go, I'm never going to get this on. And then I've got to get a harness on as well, and it's going to be a disaster. And I'm still feeling a bit like that. But anyway, Boxing Day at matinee. Thank you. I like the purple quality streak.
And a good one here for Moira Rufus of Damon that's been texted in. If you were going to play any character in the musical, who would it be and why? Go, Damon. Who would you...
Well, I have got recordings of me playing every character.
You have, yeah. So if you were to plumb for one, for Monday night, who would it be? Who would you want to be?
If I got the phone call...
Yeah, you can't do all of them. Exactly. So-and-so's off. Come on,
If I
David.
finally got
You're
the
wrong.
phone call, well, I think I would have to... I mean, I'd love to play a house part or play the father's part. I think the rest... I mean, I'd have a go at the school teacher.
I was going to say Miss Manxam.
And there is a record of me doing Ali's part. So
Damon, anything?
Yes.
Moira?
I think it's Miss Manxam, actually. Just unleash my inner Manxam.
Rufus?
I think I'd like to be Mouse.
Oh, yes, fair enough. Yeah.
That would be really, really good fun.
It'd be good, Joe. Mouse would be good.
Were there any moments that were improvised by the cast that then stuck and ended up in the final show?
Many.
Were there?
Yeah, really, really many. I mean, it's too many to count. Actually, it really has been a huge collaboration, and even though I'd written sketchy drafts of scenes prior to rehearsal, they just grew and developed and kind of came on with the involvement of the cast. It's like you were talking about the bully scene.
Yeah.
You know, like each of the girls brought so much of themselves into that. Not saying that that's what they're like, but they were, and it's great fun as well. It's wonderful fun to write on the hoof, if you like. So yes, although you get as far as you can on your own as a writer. Part of the joys of working in the theatre is the rehearsal process and how that always brings the play on.
The line that Mouse says about, maybe
in the bottle,
she's one of those guys, who sits at home doing farts, putting them in a bottle and giving them to his mum.
Yeah.
I
take no credit.
I mean, you
for
couldn't
that.
write that, could you?
No, you could. That was just an improvisation. Ed just came out with it, and it's going, okay, thanks very much. That's it.
So funny. Such a good line, that. Anyway.
Okay, one more. Okay, this is quite a good one. How has bullying changed since you were at school, bearing in mind the rise of technology?
I think therein lies the change. I think it is much more difficult now in that you used to get bullied in the playground and then you could go home and shut your bedroom door. And now, there they are. I think that's much more difficult. But, I mean, my daughter's experienced it, and I think many children have and are experiencing it. But and it can be very, very painful as well. But there's something about it, like my daughter, she seems to be sussed enough to detach herself from it and go and have the kind of cut-off point where it doesn't actually mean anything.
She's very lucky to do that, because I know I've learned that out of necessity, because I just get
it's horrible.
bombarded.
It's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, 99.9% of what I get is positive, but you see the negative, and that's always loudest.
Yeah.
And it's a skill I've had to learn to switch off from it, and for her to be able to do it just kind of innately, or.
Yes, yeah. I wonder if the young, because they are, you're sort of taught at school now as well. They do kind of classes on, how to keep yourself safe on the internet and how to deal with bullying, because it is such a thing.
Yeah.
I think it's shocking the first time it happens.
Yeah, I think the thing with particularly online bullying is people are always much more brazen, like behind the screen. I can write really firm emails, but if I see someone in person, I'm a pussycat. And I think actually the same thing can be said when it comes to bullying, because they can write something completely obscene.
It's so easily done.
Yeah, and also there's a kind of a matter of context. You can write something and it can be completely misinterpreted, and it's much more complex than I think people think.
Yeah.
Because it has no consequence.
It has no consequence.
But exactly, it's like people say the most ridiculous things, and because of that anonymity that they've given themselves, they don't expect any kind of confrontation. If you went round and said, "Did you really mean what you said about me?"
Yeah.
You visited everyone who kind of sort of trolled you, and it'd be a very, very different.
Yeah, I will literally
thing.
get tweets sometimes, someone being quite cruel, and I'll favourite it just so they know I've read it, and then suddenly they'll reply going, oh my God, you favorited my tweet, I'm so excited. I'm like, yeah, but your tweet was horrible. But they just kind of want attention, you know, so it's I think people
quite hollow people.
Yeah, they can be kind of much more ready to kind of say whatever.
So a lot of time people say nasty things because they want your attention.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Which means they don't actually dislike you at all.
Yeah, great. In fact, I'm gonna use that every time I read a negative comment. Thank you. One more question. I can see a hand.
I was going to ask, through doing workshops and when you were talking about finding Ali and bring your own kind of worried, sort of anxious teenage self to it. And throughout your research, do you think it's harder now for teenagers to find an authentic version of themselves in that they can be anyone online?
I definitely think it's young people today are exposed to so much more potentially damaging media than I was. Like, Instagram wasn't a thing, and when I was 14, I looked 14 and I'd over-straightened my hair and my eyebrows were over-plucked and I was a mess. Whereas now 14-year-olds have over-the-knee boots and they seem to have grown up a lot quicker, but they're not. They're still the same 14-year-olds as what I would have been. So I think it's definitely, from my perspective, it seems a lot harder. But if you've grown up in that world, they just get on with it, don't they? And whatever you see in the internet is what you will make of it, and probably they can put up with it a lot better just because they've grown up with it. So I think it's probably just as hard as it was. We just maybe don't get it so much.
I think the image you portray of yourself as well really depends on the platform. So on Instagram, for example, you only put your best photo on. You may take 100 and you put your best selfie on. On YouTube, my platform, you have no choice but to be real, because I'm filming my everyday life. So I'll go to the gym, I'll get back, I'll be sweaty, I'll look a complete mess, I'll be like, I have a cold or something, and you film. So it really depends whether you've got like a whole view or if you're
to show your entire life.
Not everything. not everything. So I have like a 10-minute video for a day, and I have a 24-hour day. So I don't really get my wife in it at all. I only show things that I want to, you know. So it's very much kind of my rules. But, you know, they see everything, and I want to share with them the fact that I'm a normal human being. I can't just do all the cool stuff, because the people who watch me will go, I remember you 2 years ago when you were a decent human being, now look at you. You know, so I need to make sure I'm staying real. So I film me when I look awful, and I also film me when I look great. But I think that's kind of important. I look great all the time, really, let's face it. Come on. OK, guys, I think that is just about the end. Any burning desires? One last thing. You right there.
I just wondered what the audition process was like for this production.
As Lloyd said, because we had a workshop process, and there were certain, you know, I'm workshopping a musical at the moment, and last week we had a whole week on it. There are only 2 people cast, or 3 people cast, and I need a cast of 20. So I said, guys, can you come down? And I think 20 people came from the Wonder.land cast and did a week last week. As it happens, because this show is going to Paris, they overlap, so I can't cast any of the Wonder.land. Sorry, guys. Sorry. But if that weren't the case, I'd have half the cast just from the people I know. In my ideal world, I try and mix it with a bunch of new people. And then you do, you know, and then sometimes it can take. I did a film recently, a couple of years ago, and we saw 800 people for one part. And I thought when we were looking for Ali in this show, that's what would happen. But Lois was the second person in. So it was really quick, and we just went, oh, look, there's somebody here, boom, boom, boom. She came and sang, went out, and we all went, that's
Ali. That's Ali.
And that literally saved probably 2 months of searching, just because she happened to come in. So it can be really, really long and drawn out, and sometimes it just falls in your lap. It's strange, but certainly to try and get the at least it, like, you know, like Golda said, just go, well, why am I going to look? I know Golda. Why am I going to look any further? There's nobody can sing like her, and she's unique. Actually, they're all unique, but you know, the older you get, the more people you know, so the more you can you know, go actually, if you can cover it off to a certain degree. There's a danger in it because you end up sometimes closing down your circle. So it's important to make sure that, you know, you're meeting new people all the time. Does that answer it?
We have overrun, so we're going to have to end it here. A massive thank you to everyone from Wonder.land. Damon, Moira, Rufus, James, all these guys. Big round of applause.